If you can play this piano, I'll adopt you. Millionaire mocks a black boy, but then the ballroom shimmered under chandeliers, every crystal catching the light as if it had been polished just for tonight. Dozens of wealthy guests stood gathered around the grand piano, their silk gowns and fitted tuxedos glowing in the golden light. But at the center of it all stood someone who did not belong. A 10-year-old black boy, thin and small, in a faded gray shirt tucked under a filthy apron. His trousers hung loose, patched at the knees, and his yellow cleaning gloves were still on his hands. His face, damp with sweat, looked more anxious than defiant. He had been wiping the marble floor when suddenly laughter erupted behind him. "Look at him," one man in a white suit chuckled, his champagne glass tilted dangerously close to spilling. "The helps boy, wandering where he shouldn't be." The boy froze, clutching his mop like a shield. He had been taught by his mother to stay invisible, to do the work and keep his head down. But invisibility wasn't possible now. A tall blonde woman in a royal blue dress, the kind that demanded attention, stepped forward. Her heels clicked sharply against the marble as she stopped in front of him. The smirk on her face widened into open laughter, and soon the whole room followed. "My God," she said loudly, pointing at him so every guest's gaze was locked on the boy. "Isn't it adorable?" They let the janitor's child inside the ballroom. The laughter stung worse than a slap. The boy lowered his eyes, mumbling, "I was just cleaning." "Cleaning?" she repeated, clutching her stomach as if the word itself were a joke. "With those ridiculous gloves? Darling, you don't clean a ballroom during a party. You really don't know anything, do you?" He wanted to say he had been told to finish before the guests arrived, that he hadn't realized the celebration had started. But his words stuck in his throat. The woman leaned closer, her perfume sharp, her eyes full of mockery. "Tell me, boy, have you ever even seen a piano this fine before? Or do you only scrub the wood around it?" Behind her, another woman in a satin dress chimed in. "Maybe he uses the keys like a washboard." The crowd erupted again. The boy's hands curled into fists inside the rubber gloves. His ears burned. He had heard insults before, on the streets, from neighbors, from strangers who saw his mother cleaning, but never this loud, never this public. The woman in blue tapped the piano with her manicured nails, producing sharp clinks. "This instrument costs more than your family will see in a lifetime. It's for music, not for people like you to touch." He stared at the polished wood, his chest tightening. Once, years ago, he had touched ivory keys like these, back when his mother still taught lessons in a small rented studio, before debt, before eviction, before she became the maid. But none of these people knew that. To them, he was nothing but dirt. The woman tilted her head, watching him shrink. "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue? Or do you only know how to scrub floors?" Her cruelty fueled the room. A man in a brown tuxedo called out, "Maybe he can play a tune with the mop handle." More laughter followed. The boy blinked hard, his throat dry. He wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. His humiliation fed their amusement. Then the woman, enjoying the spectacle, straightened her back and raised her voice so even those at the far wall could hear. She pointed at him again, her laugh bubbling like champagne. "Tell you what," she said, her smile cruel. "Let's make this fun. If you can play this piano, actually play it, I'll adopt you myself." The room gasped, then burst into louder laughter than before. Some clapped as if she had delivered the joke of the night. Others whispered mockingly, pretending to debate whether he'd be lucky to get such an offer. The boy's heart pounded. Adoption? As if he didn't have a mother who worked herself to exhaustion just to keep him fed. as if he were some stray animal they could bet on. His chest ached with anger, but the laughter drowned him out. The woman folded her arms, smirking, her eyes gleaming with cruelty. "Well, what's it going to be, little cleaner? Show us. Or admit you're only good for scrubbing our floors." The boy's eyes flickered between her mocking smile and the gleaming keys of the piano. His hands trembled. Everyone waited for his shame. And in that moment, silence seemed heavier than sound. "Well," she pressed, "play. Or admit what you are." The boy swallowed hard. His gloved hands trembled. Slowly, he tugged them off, stuffing the yellow rubber into his apron pocket. His bare fingers hovered above the keys. The crowd chuckled at the sight. "Look, he's serious," a man jeered. "This is going to be good," another woman whispered, her tone dripping with sarcasm. The boy closed his eyes. For a moment, the ballroom disappeared. In its place, he saw a dim room, a second-hand piano, and his mother's gentle voice guiding his small hands. "Don't just press the keys, son. Feel them. Let them speak for you." His fingers pressed down, hesitant at first. A single note floated out, fragile and small. The guests chuckled. But then his hands moved again and again. The laughter began to fade as a melody formed, soft, deliberate, aching with emotion. The boy's back straightened. He played not for them, not for her mockery, but for his mother, for the hours she had sacrificed to teach him before life stripped everything away. The room, moments ago thick with laughter, fell silent. The notes rose, filling the chandelier-lit hall with unexpected beauty. The woman in blue lowered her hand, her smirk faltering. She hadn't expected this. None of them had. By the time his small hands landed on the final chord, no one was laughing. The silence was heavy, reverent. And then, from the back of the room, a voice broke through. "Samuel!" The boy jerked his head up. His mother stood in the doorway, her maid's uniform slightly wrinkled, her eyes wide with fear. She hurried forward, pushing past stunned guests until she reached him. She placed her hands on his shoulders, trembling. "I told you to stay in the service quarters," she whispered urgently, glancing around at the silent, watchful crowd. Then her gaze darted to the woman in the blue dress. She lowered her head quickly. "I'm so sorry, madam. Forgive him. Forgive me. There's no one at home to watch him tonight. I had no choice but to bring him. He insisted he could help clean, but I should have stopped him. Please, forgive us." The boy's chest tightened at her words. She wasn't defending him. She was begging for mercy, for both of them. The woman in blue tilted her head, still reeling from the unexpected performance. She tried to find her voice, but before she could, one of the men in white murmured, "That wasn't luck. That was skill." Another guest added softly, "He played better than any hired entertainer I've heard here." Murmurs spread. The boy stood silently, gripping his mother's hand, his heart pounding. The blonde woman forced a laugh, though it sounded thinner now. "Well, maybe the boy has some hidden talent. But don't forget," I said, "if he could play, I'd adopt him. And I don't take back my words." Gasps rippled through the room. The boy's mother paled, her lips parting in horror. "No, please," she said, her voice breaking. "He has a mother already." "He is my son. I only brought him because I couldn't leave him alone. I work here to provide for him. He belongs with me." The guests shifted uneasily. The arrogance that had fueled their laughter minutes earlier now felt cruel, shameful. One older man in a gray suit spoke up. "Enough, Clara. This isn't entertainment anymore. You mocked a child, and he proved you wrong. That should be the end of it." Clara, the woman in blue, stiffened, her cheeks burning. She had wanted to humiliate a poor boy, not be corrected in front of her peers. Still, the weight of their stares forced her to step back, her smirk finally gone. The boy clung to his mother, who stroked his hair, whispering, "You did nothing wrong, Samuel." Nothing. For the first time all night he believed her. As the guests dispersed, murmuring among themselves, the boy and his mother slipped quietly toward the servant's door. His small fingers still tingled from the keys. He had faced their cruelty, their laughter, and their scorn, and turned it into silence. He wasn't just the maid's son anymore. He was Samuel, a boy who had made the room listen. And for his mother, that was more than enough. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.